this is what we're going to do because this is exactly what the Lord would have done. Like, this is exactly what Jesus would do. And I didn't really think of anything else. You know, I can't say I didn't have a minute the day she told me, like, do I move out? Not necessarily for me, but like, well, she needs, like, you know, how is this going to work? And then I was like, you know what? The Lord's going to work it out. And we have a baby.
I am honored to have one of my best friends, Enaka Enyong, as a guest here. Actually, our first woman on the podcast, which I am so excited about.
That was one of my first things I said to you, Sarah, was when we kind of said we we're going to start this. I'm like, we have to have Enaka on because your story together is so awesome and so inspirational.
Yes. And that's how, so fun fact for anybody listening, whether you're new to the podcast because you know me or Enaka, or you've been a listener since the first episode. First of all, thank you for being here. But also, fun fact, Enaka is the reason, or one of the reasons that, or part of the reason that Kate and I connected in the first place. You may or may not know, Enaka, my story of how we met and moved in together after kind of going through crazy seasons in our lives. We moved from totally separate states to Nashville. I was going through a divorce. She just needed to get out of her current situation. And after moving a month later, I found out I was 6 months pregnant with my soon to be ex-husband's child. And I posted the story on TikTok. It went viral. My son thinks Enaka is his second mom. Like, it's kind of been a crazy story. And so Kate actually featured that story on her Good News Network. And we've never actually shared like behind the scenes or kind of like gone into details of how that was for you. and we're still friends today. So praise God. But I'm excited to have you here and share more of your story.
And not surprising, when I shared this story on Hope Rises, it went viral, of course, like every other story that has, every other outlet that has shared this story. It's not something, it's something that resonates with people because they understand the power of love and friendship, but not everyone has that same experience. I've had roommates where we could never be really close, or the doula of your baby, right? So talk us through, actually, from your perspective, Enaka, when you were connected with Sarah, did you anticipate it would grow into this beautiful friendship and also this viral sensation? I mean, how incredible.
Not at all. When we first connected, I remember being like, I don't know this girl, she's wild, but I'm here for it, you know? And I don't know, it was, I don't know if you would agree, Sarah, but I feel like when we first met, we had like, not like, it's not I guess weird is a word you could use, but like we did connect and we were friends when we first like started talking, like just through our circles of friends that we were connected by. And so I would talk to Sarah, like we'd be on the phone sometimes, we'd be on Zoom sometimes, but we didn't know. I mean, we just were friends and we just thought that was all that there was to it. So probably, what was it, like 9 months later, I guess, or so, 9 or 10 months later, when all of this, you know, when moving to Nashville was on the table, we hadn't actually met in person for the first time. We had only been on the phone, only like Zoom a few times. And so we just, you know, showed up in Nashville.
It's amazing.
What day was that? Like June 1st or something, I think, or July 1st. July 1st.
It was halfway through June that we had the conversation that we both needed to leave our current situations. It was your idea. And I was like, I want to come.
So Enaka, where
July 1st, we had moved.
So Enaka, where are you from? I was thinking that you were from Nashville.
No, I'm from DC. So I grew up in the DC metro area my whole life. And I never thought I would leave, honestly. I just always thought I would be there. And what's funny is I visited Nashville probably about 6 months before I moved. And I was like, this is a weird city. And then I came back a month later and I was like, I could live here in maybe 2 years. And then, you know, 5 months later, here I was.
I love
Which is crazy because you're like musically, like you are an incredible artist. So for you to be like, oh, never. And then God's like, boom. And then after moving here, even I feel like you've been able to get some additional blessings, crowns, jewels on your crown from the Lord with the things that you've gotten to be a part of since moving here. And which is so awesome for you because you, gotten to have so many opportunities.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, yeah, as a musician, as a singer, like I've been like, I'd go to Nashville and visit, but I never thought I would like live in Music City, And so I've had like just the craziest like opportunities to be a part of projects and to just support projects. And yeah, it's been really cool.
So for those who don't know the story, take us through exactly what happened, because obviously those who know of it, they dive into it, they're so inspired. But for those on the outside not knowing, what exactly is the story?
So, um, so in June, I basically found out that I needed to decide June 2020. So in the middle of all of the craziness in the world, I needed to decide if I was going to stay in the DC area at the job that I was in that I very much needed to transition from. Um, or I was going to move to Houston, where my mom lives, and just be there for a year, but I didn't know anyone there. And I was kind of like hesitant to do that, or move to Nashville. And I feel like maybe like a week or two before I decided, like Nashville, I talked to Sarah and she was telling me about what she was going through divorce wise. And I was like, yeah, I'm in this like really weird situation. Like I need to, like get out of it.
Mhm.
And I think I was like, and at that point, I think I had spoken to a couple of friends who lived in Nashville that we knew. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just move to Nashville or something. Just kind of flip it. Like I wasn't really thinking anything was going to come of it. So when I just like randomly, I think I just randomly mentioned it to Sarah. I wasn't like intent on it yet because I was still very much, stuff was in the air. And if you know Sarah, if you don't know Sarah already by now on this is the third episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give her
I'm
any
getting to know
ideas.
her.
Don't give her any ideas that you don't want her to follow through on, especially if they're very wild. So
Yes. She has a
we'll
wild
go for
streak.
it.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that about her, though. She's
No,
like
it's great.
fearless. She's fearless, right?
Yeah. So she was like, you know what? Yeah. She's like, I'm thinking about that too. Like, I'm gonna do it. I was like, okay. And I was not thinking like it was gonna progress to anything. And so I think it was like the next week, she was like, yeah, I have a job interview set up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And
And
she's
at
like,
that
yeah.
point, like, how long had you known Sarah? Like you
I
said,
think it
9 or
was
10
like
months?
9 or 10 months, like where we just like would like talk on the phone, like not every
Yeah.
day, like,
Yeah.
here and there. So we didn't really like know each other, but like we knew each other a little bit.
Sure.
Um, and so she's like, yeah, I have a job interview. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, and I'll take a look at some apartments. And I'm like, wait. But like, is this actually going to happen? And so she goes to the interview and she tours the apartment. I think I still have the apartment tour video in my phone.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she's like, okay, we can have this apartment that like it's exactly what we both said we wanted. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, we need to move in. And she's like, oh, I think it's like June 30th. And I was like, it's June 24th. I was like, Sarah, it's June 24th. What do you mean? She's like, we can do it. Just do it. And the cool thing was like Sarah was just very intent on me like not like spending another month in the situation that I was in and spending money on the place I was living. If you know anything about the DC area, it is very, very expensive to live there. And the salaries don't always match what what it costs to live.
Yeah.
And so we applied for the apartment, got approved that same day. And I packed my whole apartment up, sold things on Facebook Marketplace, loaded up my RAV4, and I got in the car and started to Nashville on June 30th at 1 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. So I just got in the car.
Started driving.
Started driving and I got there July. It was already July 1st, I guess, when I was on the road. And I got there at 10 a.m. And yeah. And so when I got there, like everything's fine. And then Sarah and I meet for the first time like the next day. And we're kind of just like settling in, like doing things. And I'm starting to learn Sarah's personality more. I'm like, wow, she is really something.
You're like, I'm really
I
stuck with this
love
girl.
it.
For 14
Yes.
Wow, this week is 14 months. Wow, this is gonna be great. And but at the same time, like Sarah's really fun. So I was like, okay, like we'll have a great time. Like two single girls in the house. Like we had all these like
Absolutely.
and I was
Fun
so happy to
plans.
just be like out of the situation that I was into. Like I felt like I could breathe. And Tennessee kind of does that to you anyway. Like you feel a little bit more relaxed.
Mm.
And so the week that we found out that Sarah was pregnant, I think that weekend I was house sitting for a friend of mine in Nashville. And I was actually texting Sarah about a guy who had said that he was interested in her.
I forgot about him. Sorry, I forgot about you. Like,
You're bringing up all the dirty secrets. I like it. Continue it.
This has never been released.
I know, right? That's what happens when you listen to Abundant Hope podcast.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I was like texting her like, oh, this guy's interested in you. And she's like not texting back, which is not like Sarah. And so I was like, is she okay? And I
was crying. I was like, no guy's ever going to be interested in me ever again. I'm a single mom. Like,
and while I'm texting her and I'm like house sitting, I think I was at church and then I like went to the person's house. There's a whole thing going on at a friend of ours house where she's like telling them she's pregnant and everyone's like, does Enaka know? And she's like, no. And so I'm like not even thinking anything is happening. And so Sarah shows up to our friend's house. I think it was like 9 p.m. or something. And I was like, why did she take her so long to get, like, I'm just like, what's going on? And she goes, I have something to tell you. And I was like, okay, whenever, I don't know.
That's a hard thing to hear because you never know what someone's going to say, right?
You don't know where it's going to go. And I was like, what is it? And she goes, I'm pregnant. And I was like, huh? Like, at first I remember being confused. I was like, are you sure? Like, and then all she did was take out the 3 pregnancy tests and throw them on the counter. And I saw them. And I think we still have the picture of me with my head down on the counter.
I feel like
and I'm like,
yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Sarah. I mean, like what was going through your mind? Because that's a lot of news to take in, even when you're in a relationship or you're married. And then for you to kind of have that scenario happen. I mean, what were the emotions?
I kept telling everybody when everybody was like, what's next for you? Like you're moving to Nashville, like your marriage ended, like you're moving in with this girl. Like it's just everything came together perfectly. And they were like, what's next? And I just kept saying like, I don't know, but something is coming. Like something's happening. I just kept saying it. Like I just knew that something was coming. And so when I found out I was pregnant, I was in like a sick way. I'm like, this makes perfect sense. Like, of course, this is like the big, like, it can't get any bigger than this. So of course, like this would happen to me, like, just like, of course. But my fear was Enaka basically got gypped. Like, I'm like, she's like literally coming out of a hard situation. And now I'm like, I didn't know if she was gonna if she was just gonna be like, hey, obviously we're just gonna have to like find different living situations now. Like, like she didn't sign up for this. I had no idea, I was stuck with it. And the person who should have been in it with me pieced out. And obviously my son's father. And then now here she is. And I'm like, nobody else is responsible for this but me. So I had no idea how she was going to respond, if she was going to be upset. Like, even my dad was like, you can be honest. Like, did you know before you moved and you just didn't say anything so you could get out? So I didn't know. People thought I was lying. Like, how is this possible? And so I just was waiting for her reaction. Because at this point, thank God, we had at least been together in our apartment for a month and a half. So we had kind of had some conversation. So at least she like trusted me a little bit to like know I wasn't like a crazy person. But I just I really respected her and, just wanted to see what she was thinking moving forward. And the first thing she said was, how pregnant do you think you are? And I was like, well, the last, we separated officially 3 months ago. So maybe 3 months pregnant. And she said, you're not 3 months pregnant. You're maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant.
Wow.
And I was not really showing no, but you would not have known. So for her to say that automatically, I was like, okay, something's happening here and I don't know what it is, but Enaka, we always say she has a direct line with the Lord. He's always dialing information into her. So I really was just like, okay, I'm just going to trust that God is going to guide us both through this. And it was very humbling. I didn't even know what to think. I didn't know what to think. It was the next day we went and got an ultrasound. And that's when I found out I was 6 months. They were like, well, maybe, we don't know if we'll be able to see anything on the screen at all. So just back, we'll see. And she goes, oh my gosh. And there is a baby on the screen, a full baby. She's like, yeah, I was like, can you tell like how far along I am? And she was like, oh yeah, you're more than halfway done, sister. You are 6
Wow.
months pregnant.
You know what's crazy to me, Sarah, is that, when I was pregnant with my 2 pregnancies, I have
Yeah.
twins and I also have my daughter. I
Yeah.
felt kicks pretty early on, but not super early on. So like that's actually kind of normal to not feel kicks. Did you feel anything? Like, was there anything that kind of led you to believe that you could have been
kicks were-
pregnant?
The kicks were what I felt that led me to take a pregnancy test at
Okay.
24 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
I
So that's
never
what led
had
you.
a regular cycle. I had lost a lot of weight when I got pregnant. So my body was like, woo, thank you. Like, let's get pregnant now. Like, so then going through the separation and the divorce and moving, we always joke, like me and Enaka, there was a Chili's right next to our house. We were at Chili's like twice a day. So I was always like, I'm just gaining weight because I'm having the time of my life,
Girls, I know all about those nachos. And you know what? If you're eating there every day, it's good.
Yes.
It's really good. So I don't blame you at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
truly. Oh my gosh, that's insane. So where did it go from there? I mean, you guys only had 3 months until this beautiful, awesome gift of God arrived. And what happened from there?
Wow. Yeah. I remember being like, Lord, what? Like, I just moved to this.
Why me?
Like, and now there's a baby, And the interesting part about, and the Lord knows what he's doing. And the interesting part about me is that I have one of my best friends is very, very like birth informed. She's had a home birth. She's had all of these. So she told us everything that we didn't even want to know about pregnancy and birth for the last like couple of years. And so there was actually a lot that I knew about pregnancy and about babies and all that stuff. And so I remember being like, Lord, well, what do you want me to do? I mean, I was like, I'm not going to leave her by herself. I was like, she can't. I was like, I'm grew up with a single mom, so I know what it's like to just, be by yourself and with kids. It's a lot. And I was like, what do you want me to do? And the Lord was just like, you just need to be available. And I was like, okay, all right, whatever that looks like. And so then I was just like, all right, well, we're going to have a baby. So let's get ready to have a baby.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's incredible of you, Enaka, because so many people might just say, I'm not available. I need to do my own thing. I have my own life to live. So there was like a clear sign from God that you had to be there, right?
Yeah. And, if there's anything I know about the Lord, it's like, he doesn't leave us, like, especially when we're in the middle of like the most chaotic thing you can probably ever find out happening when you don't know, you're just going about your life. And I just, I think it was an opportunity not only to just stretch me, in my faith, but also to like give Sarah and whoever this baby was going to be. I mean, we knew it was a boy right away, like the love of the Lord, and be like, this is what we're going to do because this is exactly what the Lord would have done. Like, this is exactly what Jesus would do. And I didn't really think of anything else. I can't say I didn't have a minute the day she told me, like, do I move out? Not necessarily for me, but like, well, she needs, like, how is this going to work? And then I was like, you know what? The Lord's going to work it out. And we have a baby. So,
I love that. I love that. And he's so sweet. And you were actually Sarah's doula, correct?
Yeah, that also is a crazy story. Crazy story.
People are like, I didn't know Enaka was a doula. Enaka was like, I also did not know that I was a doula, but I am today.
Yeah, I also did not know, for real. When Sarah started like contractions, I want to say, what was it? It was around like 5 or 6 p.m. And they started intensifying. We were like, okay, like it's time. So, and at the time her parents were in town, but they were almost like 45 minutes to an hour away from like where we were. And so it was kind of like a toss up if they would like be there or available for like, when she would go into labor. And so we decided, I don't know when it was, maybe it was like 9 or so, because they were getting like really intense to go into the hospital. We go there. She's not that dilated. They're like, go home, come back. We're like, okay. For whatever reason, I think we just both knew it was going to be that night. I like set my alarm and Sarah calls me and she's like, my water broke. And I was like, okay, it's like 4 a.m. or something. And I was like, we're really doing this now. Okay. And so we get everything ready and we get in the car. We go to Starbucks.
Starbucks. I was like, we have to make sure we're at Starbucks. They open at 5. Like, please, like, we need to get gas. We need to go to Starbucks. You got me a Gatorade. We got like the protein pack. I have my stuff ready to go.
That is a really good thought, because when you go into the hospital, a lot of times they say you can't eat. So it's like so great to be like prepared. I had gummy worms with me with the twins. I brought gummy worms and snacks, and I don't know why I thought to do that, but I was like, I have to be ready for this. This is like a
food
long
is always
process.
like,
That's awesome.
Yeah. We stopped. And so we got in there, and, with the way that, the hospitals were because of the pandemic and all of that stuff, it was one person in, and if they left, then you were by yourself and nobody else could come in. And so we're there, and we sat in the parking lot for a little bit, like, do we wait for her doula? And then of course, as life would have it, her doula's babysitter was sick, who couldn't come to their house and get her kid, but she'd come to Sarah. And we're like, what do we do? And I was like, well, we're just going to go in. We can't really prolong it any longer. Your water broke. Like, not that, like, we got to go. And so we went in there and, we sat through labor. I think until I made her wait till she was, I think, 5 or 6 centimeters dilated. And I'm like kneading her back through all the contractions. And it was very much an experience that I never knew I would ever have.
Never wanted to have.
Wow.
When she got to like 5 or 6, she was like epidural. I was like, okay, we're faring up along. So she gets the epidural. The doctor's like, do you want to look? I was like, at this point, nothing's going to make me pass out. So she gets it, and we both like she passes out immediately. I fall asleep for a couple minutes, and it's 45 minutes goes by, and the doctors come in. They're like, oh, time to push. We're like, what? We both like jolt out.
We both sit up and look at each other.
So it really happened that fast.
Yeah.
Because you had your epidural and your body was like relaxed, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Harv was born in literally 5 minutes. I FaceTimed her mom and sister so they could at least watch, because they were in Walmart.
No, the whole thing was a hot mess. It's like
they were in Walmart watching the birth and just crying, and we were all just like, what is happening? And there he was. And I thought the doctor was going to cut his umbilical cord, and she goes, here you go. And I was like, what?
What an honor.
That's amazing. And then we ordered pizza.
I was ready.
What time was that? It was like 8 a.m. ordering pizza.
No. Actually, so we were in the hospital for a couple hours.
Oh, okay.
He didn't come till like just before maybe 5. Sarah.
Oh, okay. Exactly. So yes, you were ready. You were ready. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did he come out with like the orange red hair?
Oh yeah. I prayed so hard. I was like, Lord, you are so kind, and I will love you either way. But if he looks like me, I will really love you a lot. And he came out, and we were like, oh my gosh, he was so white, so long, and red hair. And we were like, you cannot, like, he looked like, I was like, oh yeah, that is red hair.
They are twins. And all the doctors and nurses were like, whoa, he's really long. Look at his fingers. Like, look at his toes.
And
to this
I
day,
am
I think he's the longest that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. And then like from there, you guys formed this awesome bond. Like, how did you feel you were stepping into that role of that second mom? How did that come to you? Was that something that you were honored to do? Was it natural? Talk about that bond with Harv.
I think it was natural. I think, like we were we were in the house. I feel like we all went through pregnancy and then postpartum together. We were like, we got to make the best of this. And I love babies anyway. Like, I went to my degrees in early childhood education and special education. And so I actually wanted a degree in babies before, but there is none.
You got the street. You got street cred.
Yeah.
And so, so it was natural. Like he was so talkative early on, and I just would always just talk to him and cuddle him. I have so many videos of him, his head literally like in my neck. He could not get close enough. And to this day, he still has no grid for personal space, especially when it comes to me. He's like,
oh my God,
how close can we get? So we just bonded, I think, really, really early. And we were like, we're in this together. So let's do it.
Guys, so when we first decided to do a podcast, the whole technicality of everything seemed daunting, to say the least.
Then we reached out to our friends at Social Chameleon. They helped us get launched, create our trailer, edit our intros and our outros.
All the details that goes into the behind the scenes to actually get the podcast out. You guys, they do it all for us, and it's been a breeze.
And then get this, they write all of your show notes and even publish each episode for you.
This has allowed us to get our podcast out onto all the most popular platforms, and I'm just so grateful to Social Chameleon for being able to make this happen for us.
And now we can focus on what we do best, and that's bringing you inspiring content, and they handle the rest.
With Social Chameleon, it's podcasting done for you. So go check them out at socialchameleon.us. Let them know that we sent you. And if you start a podcast using them, definitely let us know and we'll tune in and give you all the support and love.
Sarah, what does this mean to you? I mean, just having it's not even a friend. It's like a sister. It's like a part of your family. Just be so close to you. I mean, there's nothing better than a good friend. And there's not many true friends out there. And I feel like Enaka is the perfect definition of a true friend who doesn't see your flaws or see your bad situations, but really sees how they can offer hope to you.
Well, I think and I love that. And I think what I love about Enaka is she actually sees the flaws and she actually does see the bad. She's not someone who just like overlooks it and is like, no big deal. But I think that's what makes her even more of an incredible friend, is being willing to lean in through that, like you said, and offer hope through that. It's actually honestly really humbling because it's something that I love doing for other people and had always done my best to. But as far as female friendships that really just championed each other and leaned in through the difficult times and not letting, self-centeredness or, just an agenda get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen, experienced this before. And it gave me hope. And I just respect Enaka, and I've learned so much from it. And in one word, it's just humbling, because you truly, there's nothing that you can do, in my opinion, to deserve somebody coming through for you, the way that Enaka did for me. And she does this so often for so many. And that was what I loved about when I shared our story, is not just people saying, this is what love should look like. It doesn't matter what you look like, who gave birth to you, like we're all loving on each other. So many people were commenting saying, I want a friend like Enaka. A lot of people were also commenting saying, I want to be a friend like Enaka. And that's my whole hope with sharing this story, is that there are people like this out there. You just have to be willing to literally sacrifice what is best for you and what feels best for you. And Enaka had every reason to just peace out and be like, love you, sis, I'm praying for you, but it's totally different to put your money where your mouth is. And the Lord just has so much favor. I told you, she's got a direct line with the Lord. We always talk about the favor that Enaka has in her life, dating, whether it's in friendships, whether it's in business, whether it's in opportunities. There's so many seasons where you can look back on her life and see where she's endured really, really difficult seasons in order to walk through the favor that she has now. And that doesn't mean that there's not hard seasons now, but I think so often a hard season comes and we're like, that's it, I'm done. Like, I can't, I don't even know how to show up for that person, or I don't know how to show up because I'm going through something difficult. And we just let the enemy just talk us into just being still and not doing anything. And actually, when you just are willing to put one foot in front of the other and are willing to listen to the Lord and how he guides, that is when he's going to take you through a transition that is even better than what you would have chosen for yourself. More difficult, but has so much, greater reward. And so I'm just honored and I'm grateful that she was willing to be that for me in my life. And she's impacted me and millions, like all these videos that I've shared that share what she's done for me. Like every comment is about this love that she has to share and how it's impacted not just Harv and I, but just encouraged, hopefully, so many others. So I'm just honored and grateful. But also that's something that I would love if you would share, Enaka, like for you, like how can we show up for other people in hard seasons like that? While not neglecting, right, like what we need and just kind of being like a martyr and just, showing up for everybody all the time. But like, how do you show up for people in really difficult seasons like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think some of it has to do with like my background and where I came from, like the community that I came from in DC. We learned a lot about sacrificial love and covenant friendship and community. And, we were taught, from an early age, like when I was even in like high school, what actually looks like when the Bible says like greater love, like has none than a man that will lay down his life for his friend.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like what I have built a lot of like my close friendships on, because I really do believe that. And I feel like Jesus is the model, of that. He literally laid down his life, right, for his friend. When I get to step into that for people, it's difficult, like I'm like, Jesus said, like, if you can take this from me, Lord, take it, but not like my will but yours, And I feel like I've had those conversations in various situations with the Lord, like, like, Lord, if this is something that you need me to do, I'll do it. Like if you'll take it, I'm good. But I will endure if this means that this is going to impact someone's life. And so I will say, like, there it's hard to say, like, how do you become, someone that's willing to do that? But all I can tell you is to invest in relationship. Community is the best thing you'll ever invest in. It's the thing that that cuts you, and also like in a good way, like cuts the parts and builds up the parts that need to be built up. And if there's anything I can tell you, it's to invest in relationships, invest in people. Like, don't just come expecting, come to give, and give everything, because I have seen, so much, not only in other people's life, but even in my life, in just being able to really, really like lay down my expectations of people and let them be who they are and love them where they're at. And so that is probably the best I can do. I'm like, get plugged into community like that. That changed my life, and that changed the way that I love, and it changed the way that I see people. And it doesn't feel burdensome for me to be able to love people and to do what I need to do to make sure that they're good, while I still, I love to take care of myself. And I just got my nails done. I do the, you don't.
Yeah, girl. Yeah. Self-care is important.
It's important, but there is something to, like giving people your all. And I've seen people do the same for me. And so, yeah.
It's amazing. And your story went viral. I mean, how many views did you, so you put it out on TikTok, correct, Sarah? Did you put it out? Did Enaka put it out? How did that work?
I put it out. I really felt called by the Lord. Like it's the craziest thing, but I really felt called by the Lord to just share my story and just encourage anybody going through a hard time that like there are better things ahead. Like I never would have thought, like from the outside looking in, like single mom with a roommate. And it's like, that probably sounds like worst case scenario for everybody involved, but the Lord was working in my life, and the Lord was just delivering me from things, and just people were showing up for me, and I was learning and I was growing in ways that I could have never imagined, that would have never happened if I had gotten my perfect picture. And so I just shared the story to just share where we were at. And so that kind of started getting like the attention, like, wow, like you have a roommate, like what's up? Like, is your roommate, like, what's going on with that? And then I started sharing the videos of Harv with Enaka. And that was when it was like, okay, we get it now. This is amazing. You are the luckiest person in the whole world. Like, this is beautiful. Millions, like probably, I think combined over 50 million views of at least, with videos of Harv and Enaka. And it's just all the comments are just like, this is what love looks like. Like, I want to be this. I need that. Like, it's crazy. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's such a powerful message. And I think too, it's like, how has your life changed? Because it's drastically changed on your end, Enaka and Sarah. I mean, how has it really brought you a gift in return? Not just bringing people closer to their faith, which I think is really important, but also the opportunities that came from this. How has that changed your life?
Gosh, I feel like I'm still like seeing that happen. Like, when I moved, I probably within the week that I moved, I honestly heard the Lord tell me to buy a house next year. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, that's not a thing, because I just moved out of a really ridiculous situation. I was like, there's no way. And probably in the spring of 2021, everything kind of just started to line up and people were confirming it. I was getting texts like, hey, I just was thinking about you and you just feel like you need to enlarge your space. Like just people were sending me messages and I was like, okay, I got to do it. And so like since then, like I bought a house in the fall. And I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've connected with lots of different people. I have people like, I'm sure, granted, I think I'm thankful that TikTok has it like where direct messages are disabled unless you follow each other. Because on Instagram, I've gotten so many messages, people just reaching out just to, to connect or to find out like more about Sarah and I or just like me. I feel like lots of opportunities just in ministry have even opened up just from people like seeing that, there really are still like good people in the world who love well and all of that. And I feel like there's still more to come, but there's just been so much life change. I feel like since we moved out of our apartment, and that was only in August, so it hasn't been that long.
Yes.
And 2021.
And Sarah, how you've started your ministry, you're writing a book. I mean, some of the things that have changed your life. Give us examples.
It's just crazy. I think it's just like you forget like social media is just so wild. Like people have come up to me and Enaka. Like we were traveling together to go see her friends in DC. Again, through this whole season, her friends have become my friends because they're like in the trenches with her, with me, and they're incredible. And so we went to DC to see her friends, and some people stopped us in the airport and was like, like I know you from TikTok. Like it's just so wild to me. And so now even just recognizing like, whoa, like the way that you live your life is literally on display for so many people to see. And it's almost like convicting, like if this person, sometimes people will be looking at me and I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Like, is there like a hole in my pants? Like, why are people looking at me? And it's like, it's a possibility that they literally just like recognize us from TikTok. Like, how am I communicating? How am I talking to the person in front of me? How am I making time for people? Am I making space for people? Am I like being available to hear, like people feel connected to you when they feel like they know you. And so when you put your story on social media, no matter how small of a following or how big of a following you have, people then want to share their journey with you and even share, how you maybe inspired them or encouraged them in their season. And that's, again, for me, extremely humbling. And so for me to just be willing to share what looked like a devastating situation and what the enemy tried to tell me was failure and, just a devastation on my part, that the Lord actually, what the enemy intends for evil, the Lord will always use for good. And so just to be able to just share, knowing that my current circumstance doesn't look that great, but the Lord is working, just to see how many other people have communicated, like that's shifted the way that I view my life. And that encouraged me. It only takes one person to kind of turn it around, and start a chain reaction. So Enaka did that for me. And I was able to have the hope to share to somebody else. And just the opportunity, just again, it's just so incredible. If you share your story, it doesn't matter. Don't wait for the next thing, for this to come to fruition, for this to come to completion, for your business to explode. Just share with where you're at right now and let people see you for where you're at right now, because you're always one step ahead of somebody who is dreaming about overcoming their situation to walk in what you're walking in right now. And that is all that people need to see to say, that encourages me, that inspires me. It's not winning a $1 business or even it's just you starting and being willing to step out of that situation. And for me, that's been the biggest, like most humbling thing for me, honestly.
Yeah. And I feel that way about Hope Rises. It's like it started with this one singular post. It got 36 likes. It was they're barely seen, and now we're a global movement. And it's because we've been so transparent. We've been about kindness and hope. And you're exactly right. Just share it. Just get your story out there and just react with love and kindness. And you never know how that's going to impact someone or change their life. And Enaka certainly changed your life and so many others. And even myself, who've seen your story. Yeah. And we started this podcast to talk about faith and good people in the world. So you just never know how your kindness is going to change the world. So such a good message. Enaka, I have a question for you about Harv. What are you most looking forward to in his life, like being a part of it? Are you going to be around for his entire life as his second mom?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know that I could see my life without Harv now. So I'd be like, where's he at if I didn't see him?
We will track her down.
I call for Harv. I'm like, I'm calling for Harold. And so that's Harv's real name.
I'll
I
answer the
didn't
phone.
realize. I was thinking it
Yeah.
was Harvey or like Harold. Okay, I like that.
Harold, yeah. And his name is Harold Isaac, but his nickname is Harv because Sarah's uncle Harv is the same. So he's named after him. But yeah, and I think, I'm looking forward to like when Harv starts talking, honestly. I'm really excited for him to start to express himself. And just to see how many people like really love him. I think he's gonna grow up surrounded by so much love and care. And I think it's gonna in turn cause him to be the same. He already is. I call him a little lovey because he's so like he just wants to hug and kiss and like squeeze everyone. And so I'm excited to just watch him grow up to just be just such a kind human that we know he's going to be. And also he's going to give his mom and the world a run for their money because he's going to be an honest child, but he's very loving. So I'm just excited. I plan to be around. I will hunt him down at this point.
I love that. And also the fact that he can look back on his story and read about everything and how he was like put out into the world in such a beautiful way that he has this awesome story to look back on when he's older and say, I had two amazing moms who really led me in this awesome direction in life. So I love your story. I'm so glad that we could talk to you and hear more from your side of the story. I know you've been out there, but just to kind of really talk more about, your perspective and how you really just feel so grateful for this opportunity, this experience. And it was a situation you may not have thought would be what it is today, but now it's this beautiful thing and you're inspiring people across the world, which is awesome. So thanks for being on with us and talking more about that.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's such a cool story. When I think about it, I'm like, this was my life.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to like finally get to like share it. And I just, when you said we hadn't shared it, I was like, I guess we haven't shared it. So
No.
Yeah. And I think by this time we can probably talk about this, but Hope Rises will be featured in Women's Day magazine in June and July. And you guys will be part of that feature, which we're so excited about.
Yay.
So they were picked as one of the amazing, awesome stories across the globe that are inspiring people, not surprising at all. So look for their story in June and July issue of Women's Day magazine, which is on a lot of shelves across the nation. So very cool. Is there anything that we missed that you want to talk about, Enaka?
Sarah, do you think there's anything I missed or anything that's share worthy? I feel like we have lots of things.
There's so many things. There's too many things. Honestly, we kind of took a little break from TikTok. We kind of went from sharing so much of our life to the last few months. She moved into her house. She bought a new build. So there was like the closing process. You know how people talk about buying a house is stressful. It's usually like a 30-day close. She had like a 6-month close. So between that and just me, like I feel like the last year was kind of a blur for both of us. We kind of documented where we could, but I really feel like for both of us, the Lord kind of just like pulled us out into isolation a little bit. She went into her home. I moved 45 minutes away into my own little space, and we're both kind of a little bit removed from the hustle and bustle. And I really feel like that's been healing for our soul. And so I have a feeling we'll probably get back into making content for fun again and just sharing our lives, but we really needed to kind of just recuperate. I more so just wanted to ask you, Enaka, because again, a lot of people don't know that you are a singer and you've been able to really be a part of some really incredible things. Is there anything that you're excited about or looking forward to, or anything that people can be on the lookout for, like anything that you're planning to do? I'm like, how can people follow you? How can they get like more in touch with what you're doing and just stay up to date? Because you are pretty private. So that's why whenever I share something, I'm like, tell us everything, Enaka. It's like the inside scoop. But what do you want to share with people about like how they can stay connected to you, or like what you're excited about that's coming up?
I do sing and I do write music and I write poetry too and all the things. And so I am going to start posting a lot more on socials of just singing and covers and just kind of like doing what I love. I'm hoping to get a book of poems out by the end of the year.
That's exciting. Yes. You got it, girl.
I'm currently in like a workshop for writing that's like kind of helping me get back into the flow. And so I actually kind of want to start a podcast. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I might do it. And so
you should do it.
There's lots to like there's lots in the works that I'm kind of just like fleshing out, like, okay, Lord, like, you know, I'm very much a big believer in not everything good is like what you're supposed to do right then. And so I'm just like, what do you want me to do right now? But for now, I'm pretty clear that I need to sing for real on and put it out and maybe put out a song this year. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Woo!
But you can find
That's awesome.
Instagram is the best place to follow me, but TikTok I will be more active.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
you can come find
We'll
me on
put
there.
your information in the show notes below. So anybody listening can go and click and follow her and tag along.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Thank you so much, Enaka. You were a dream, and it was so awesome to hear more from you and just give our listeners some inspiration today.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes. All right. We love you. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we'll put all of our links in the show notes below so that you can keep in contact with us. And yeah, we will talk to you guys later and see you on our next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening and allowing us to inspire you today.
We want to get to know you and learn why you need abundant hope in your life.
Follow us and engage with us on social media. You guys, we would love to connect with you. And you can start by finding us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok by searching Abundantly More.
And also Hope Rises Network.
We will add all of our social links to the show notes below, and we would love to hear from you. So please come give us a follow, say hey, let us know you heard the podcast, let us know what you want to hear. We would absolutely love to hear from you and connect with you.